Good afternoon, podcast listeners. This is Ed Franklin with the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast. A little bit different direction we're going today. Normally, I'm out here trying to give you advice that I've learned over my 500 years in life. It feels 500 sometimes in the morning, but this is going to be a lot about what I do for a living. And the company I work for is Synergy HomeCare. And I put some stuff out there on Facebook and LinkedIn and things like that. So you guys know all about that. If you want to contact me, you can get a hold of me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com if you'd like to be a guest or you know a guest. But I got two Rockstar guests today. So when I went to work for Synergy, they had not done a lot of upfront work as far as marketing and things in San Diego in my territory. And I told the owner, look, we need to find some rock stars so I can get my hands around how to make this business move forward. And we found two rock stars that are out in central Illinois, and I follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn, and they just kill it on the marketing side of things, and they have a lot of presence, and I want to get that same kind of presence. So, I want to introduce Taylor and Liz. You guys tell me a little bit about yourself. How long you've been in the business, Liz? You can go first, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I have been in the business what also feels like 500 years. I think I'm getting close to 15 years.
15 years, wow.
I I've kind of done it all. I started as a CNA and then I was a nurse and then I was in healthcare management and then I was a branch manager for a competing home care agency and then Synergy stole me and I have been with Jim and Gay in Central Illinois for almost 5 years. I now do nothing but marketing and I love it so much.
Your turn, Taylor.
Awesome. I've been with Synergy just over 5 years. Before that, I actually was in a completely different spot. I was a legislative assistant with the state of Illinois. So I took a turn, and when I started here, Springfield, Illinois was opening its doors right before COVID. So that was super fun. But it's been a journey and a really wonderful roller coaster of events. And yeah, it's been wonderful.
How many franchises do they have? Your company?
We have four.
Okay, and they're all in Central Illinois. All kind of. I don't know the map, the geography there.
Correct.
So okay,
Yes. So we have Bloomington, Champaign, Decatur, and Springfield, and it's all just a really big circle in Illinois.
okay, cool. So you guys, what I really notice, what comes out when I see your posts, is that you're doing a lot of organized events, right? You're doing mixers, you're speaking at places, you're doing all that, and that's what types of organizations are these that you guys got you're so close to?
Yeah, and for our locations, our motto is to educate everyone. Everyone has an aging loved one, mother, grandmother, whatever
Mhm.
it is. And so we really, anyone that is interested in learning about the services and how it can benefit them is where we go. We hit a lot of the obvious places. So a lot of the hospitals, the nursing homes, the assisted livings, but then we also really try to diversify so that everyone is really equipped with the information they need to age well. And so we hit churches and elder law attorneys, and we do a lot of chamber activities. And yeah, I mean, and we go just about everywhere.
We have an
Yeah.
interesting landscape here where we only have a couple hospitals in our territory. Like, and one of them's Kaiser. Do you guys have Kaisers out there?
Do not.
So Kaiser has this very strict rule, and I learned this in construction, that you cannot go to a Kaiser and make any kind of sales pitch or mark anything like that. You have to go through corporate to do that. And I think they're on the East Coast somewhere. And it's very hard to become one of their vendors. And this was in the construction industry. You had to be blessed off by Kaiser. And that's one of the biggest hospitals in our territory. Other than that, that's like really the only hospital I have in my territory. So hospitals aren't great for us right now just because of landscape. However, if we worked with the other franchises in San Diego, of course, we have UCSD Medical Center, which is enormous, and Scripps and places like that. The chambers, we have a couple chambers in my territory too. And I used to run a chamber. I think I told you that before. And networking is king. I would get a lot of business from networking. Do you go to senior, not assisted living? I know you do those. Do you go to senior living spaces?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of the places we've built relationships, and it's just about maintaining those and continuing that education. And sometimes, we'll bring in different activities and crafts and just spending the time with those residents, that's home to them. So we can also bring our caregivers in there. They don't want to leave their home. So maybe if they're starting to decline a little bit, we can bring caregivers in there to let them stay in place.
I think
So
I
go
think
ahead.
another useful tool for both hospitals and senior living facilities is what we call following the patient. So maybe you can't go in and market, but you can still build relationships and have excellent communication. So
Yeah.
we'll go to the hospital to get an assessment done before a client is discharged so that they have a really good game plan in home before they get discharged. And I always tell my care managers, go and speak to the social worker care manager. And it's a sincere, hey, we're going to have care in place. Do you have any concerns? Anything I need to add to the care plan? But then you're building those firm relationships and you
Yeah.
know their names and they know you. And it's the same with an assisted living. Anytime we're there doing an introduction for a caregiver, an assessment, I always say, stop by the director of nursing's office, stop by the executive director's office and build those one-on-one relationships because those are vitals and those establish trust.
And so we should back up a little bit because I know that I hope I've done a good job of explaining exactly what we do. But how do you explain what Synergy does? Now, there's hundreds of franchises across the US for Synergy. I had a conversation with the guy up in Beverly Hills, which is he's doing an awesome job too, by the way. And so how would you explain what Synergy does so the audience can, kind of figure out exactly what we do?
It's one of our favorite questions. You want to take that one, Taylor?
I think we each kind of have our own blurb,
Yeah.
but make it simple. We hire caregivers to go in the homes wherever that may be to help people stay safe, in place, and independent. And we serve all ages. So it's not about getting through the day. It's about how to have the very best day, and creating that normalcy, but we're going to do it and make sure that they're safe.
And Liz, what do you say?
Yeah, same sort of thing. And I always say, really, anything that you need on a day-to-day basis to stay safe and at home is what we do. And we help you keep you in that home where you have all of your memories, where all of your pets are, where all of your things are. And the list of things we can do is so long. I mean, it never ends. We can do meal prep, housekeeping, medication reminders, transportation, dementia care. I mean, it's so many things. And so sometimes seniors will be like, well, I don't know what they're going to do in my house. I promise we will find things. It's decluttering, help you FaceTime your
Oh, nice. I
grandchildren.
like that. Yeah.
Take you out to breakfast, that the same breakfast that you've done every week of your life with your best friends, but maybe that's no longer possible because you can't drive anymore. We can make that happen. We can drop you off at breakfast and then go pick up your groceries for you. It's really incredible what our caregivers can do.
So
And
I
that
had
I
a,
think is
go ahead,
huge.
Liz, or Taylor, go ahead.
Just the education part is people just don't know. And there's a lot of people that will be like, oh, I don't need that. And I've thought about bringing them in my home to help me with my laundry because I'm busy out in the community. It's a lot of things that people don't think about. It's maybe once a month, every day, here and there, periodic, wherever it fits for your life. So it's really just important to all those things that Liz was saying and explaining, putting those out there because people just truly don't know what we do. So just getting out there and just explaining it.
That's
My
a really
seniors
good
that,
point.
that fight me and say, I don't want anybody in my damn house, right? We've
Right.
all had those. But I tell them, like, think of it like having a personal assistant. Like, I would take a personal assistant. Like, you want to do my laundry and like run all of my errands for me? Please, you go
Right.
for it. It'd be so nice.
There's a lot of people with what you're saying that feel like they're losing control. And what they don't understand is they're gaining all the control. You stay in your home, you tell us when we're here, when we're not, you make the list of what we're doing.
Right.
When we build this customized plan of care, we're building it with you. So everything that the caregivers, and I like to call them friends, do when they're in the home is what you're saying. So you're not even giving up anything. You're truly gaining more, and you gain a friend while you're doing it.
That's a really good point you made that you don't have to be ill
No.
or not capable of doing something. It's just that extra assistance. So I had a personal experience with this. My stepfather, when he lived in a place called Julian, and it's up in the mountains here in San Diego, and it's kind of a really rural area. And all his friends just kept passing away. It seemed like every other week, one of his friends was. And his doctor called me and said, "Look, you really need to get." We called him Ski. You really need to get Ski down, live with you. So we did a remodel on the house, put a granny flat on, and moved him in, and it was great. He was independent. He could drive. He could do all those things. And I had $5 at $6 at home at the time, so they were helping him with tasks around the house. But he did start his health started failing to a point where I could not help him. Right, I wasn't built. I'm not built to be a caretaker like that. And I didn't know there was even groups like this out there. And I'm sure there was. This was 15 years ago, but I'm sure there were groups where I could have just had someone come in and just help with a few things to keep him independent. He would throw the keys to my 14-year-old daughter and have her ask her to drive him to the store. She didn't have a license or anything, but she never did that. But that's the point he was getting. So, but that's a really good point you made, that you don't have to be ill. And we had someone, I reached out to somebody on Facebook that did a post about their father-in-law being ill and just getting to that point where he still has his brains together, but a little physically, he's starting to slow down a little bit. And he was like, well, he won't let anybody come into the house. And I think that's typical with men. Is that more typical with men than women, you find?
I think
Yeah, I mean,
it's so typical of all, right? It's a strange idea to just let a random stranger into your home and touch all your
Right.
stuff and all your memories.
well, and I mean, and people have been so used to like they're the provider and I've been independent, like I've got this is my home. But I think that's a really good point of like what you're saying at that point. He didn't want anybody in there. So then it falls on friends and family, and you have to take the approach of, I'm sorry, dad, grandpa, whoever, but at this point, it's not for you anymore. I'm tired. I'm busy. I need, this is just a lot, and I need this peace of mind. And let me give this back to you. So when you have those moments of when somebody truly doesn't want anybody in their home, but they're expecting friends and family to be that bridge between their care, using the approach of this is not for you anymore. This is for me.
Yeah, so many Asian people have that fear of being a burden, and no one wants to be a burden, right? And even people aren't, but people still have that fear. And so assuring them that you're not a burden to Synergy, to your family, anything, we're all just trying to let your family members be family members when they visit. Let them enjoy your time, have a lovely dinner together. They're not deep cleaning your house the entire time they're visiting. And so it lets
Right.
family just be family, which is so important.
True.
Well, and I
And
read something or listened to something about a daughter, I think, was saying, if she starts to take care of, if this is hard on those seniors, if she starts to take care of them, she becomes a caretaker instead of a daughter.
Exactly.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. You get to give that back. And we've had so many clients that at the end of it, they're like, I don't know what I'd do without you guys. Or, their loved one is like, thank you. You gave me my husband back. You gave me my life back.
Right.
There's a lot of unknown resentment there because you are tired. And it's really hard to be that supportive loved one, but like you're on top of that person, like you need to take your medications, we need to take a bath now, we need to do this, but you're also trying to have that love there too. So being able to take that away, and like you're both saying, you get to give that back to them and they get the relationship back, is so much more than anybody can ask for, really.
Yeah. And I know that when my stepdad moved in with us, the aging at home is so important. I mean, he had all of his stuff there, his pictures, his whatever. I mean, he could go to the refrigerator when he wanted to. He didn't. Now, conversely, he had to go into a boarding care for a while, or not a boarding care, but like an assisted living. And now he just sits there. So we used to go see him every day. Somebody from the family would go see him every day. And we found a lot of the other people that were in sharing a room with him or whatever had nobody to come see him. And I was talking to the caregivers, and they said, well, a lot of these people, their kids live out of state or whatever. So they put him in these, and now you're just waiting to die, right? It's just like that has to be a horrible feeling if you're just sitting there waiting and you can't, you can't do anything for yourself. So this staying at home is so advantageous for their mental, uh,
Yeah, being somewhere that's familiar. I mean,
yeah.
people thrive better at home doing PT or OT or whatever they're needing rather than they do being in a facility, really.
I think something that Synergy does well is fight isolation no matter where the seniors are. Because like Taylor said, it really is like getting a friend.
Yeah.
And especially with clients we see that have cognitive decline, having the caregiving and having that interaction and that activity and someone you trust in those regular conversations, it can be so beneficial to overall health.
Yeah,
So
and I
we
think COVID
go
put a
ahead.
highlight on that, really. Um,
Did.
the isolation and people wanting to stay home. And that's why home care is forever growing. I mean, this is the beginning of it all. It's going to be so much bigger than it is now, because people want to stay in their home where they're afraid of a pandemic again, to where there's visiting hours. They're not able to see their loved ones because of where they're at.
Yeah.
People don't want to risk that anymore.
Well, and um, for the first time in history, 62 and older population is going to be the largest demographic in the United States. They're
Mhm.
calling it the senior tsunami. So I have a friend that owns an assisted living, and we were talking about it. He says, Ed, this industry is enormous. It's going to just blow up this year and and coming years. What do you think, in both your opinions, puts Synergy ahead of other companies? It has them
Um,
stand out.
Liz, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and Synergy is a franchise. And so
Right.
things are so dependent on how a Synergy is run, but I can speak to our Synergy. Um, every pretty much every mom and pop I know is opening a home care agency. Like I think I have over 15 competitors in my Champaign-Urbana area. I mean, they're just popping up every 5 seconds, I feel like.
Right.
But what really sets Synergy apart is we are a part of this fantastic franchise that has all of these research and resources and all of this camaraderie, kind of like we're doing now in this podcast. But also, Jim and Gay, we are the number one Synergy franchise in the country, and what they have established is just so incredible. How the way they run their business. Some of the things that set us apart from other franchises is that we have a 24/7 on-call team, because sometimes I'll call a competitor or I'll call another healthcare agency and no one answers the phones during business hours.
Right.
Like, what is happening? Are you crazy? Like, these are people's lives. You have to be reliable and you have to answer that phone. So we have live local people that answer that phone 24/7, which I think really puts us apart. We also have on-call caregivers every weekend because, I mean, in the 15 years I've been in healthcare, a caregiver has called off every single weekend, and they probably will until the day I die. That's just the industry.
Yeah.
So going above and beyond and hiring those on-call caregivers to ensure that your loved one is going to get the care that they need, I think is so important. And yeah, Synergy really, the quality of care that they're committed to is really, really incredible. And I'm sure Taylor has 10 more examples.
Yeah, I mean, you said it all right there. And we're always staffed for growth. So we're never just staffed for where we're at right now. We want to staff for where we're going. So when we do have new clients coming in and it's out of nowhere, they need 24/7 care, we can do that. We want to make sure that ebb and flow of growth is always going. And on top of that, I think ultimately with where we're going, leadership is about influence and not title. And Jim and Gay have demonstrated that time and time again, to where they've never asked us to do anything that they haven't done or wouldn't do themselves.
Right.
So, this is Illinois. So 2 weeks ago, we had a snowstorm, and, businesses are calling off and people just can't get to work. And we take care of people. We can't just not show up. So we had Jim, Gay, people from, higher administration. Everybody's all hands on deck, and they're in their trucks. They're salting driveways. They're digging caregivers out of ditches. We're picking them up, dropping them off, all the way up. And I think that that speaks volumes for who we are as a company. And that leadership being so involved, we're constantly pivoting to make sure that we're in the now, and we're making sure that all of our clients are being taken care of at that highest level, really. And our caregivers, they don't feel like they're just out in the field. They feel like they're appreciated and they're a part of a team, and they're not solo out there, which in the work that we do, it can be very easy to feel like you're a loner out there. So just doing the extra things to make sure that our clients are feeling like their family and our caregivers feel like their family.
Well, there's no doubt your leadership at at those locations is top notch. And Synergy is one of the top franchises in the United States, period, just as franchises go. And I was really impressed. And I told my wife, look, these people know what they're doing. They got it together. And a million resources. I mean, just so much so. And the background checks and the training, all this stuff that that our caregivers are getting is awesome. So yeah, I'm just out there I'm so happy you guys came on here. I really appreciate it. And this collaboration is important. Probably more of us should be doing this around the US to find out what that magic, that secret sauce is for our territory. The area that I grew up in, and next the neighboring area that's in my territory, when we were kids, no kids lived in this area. It was all 55 and over. And I think somebody went and filed a lawsuit, and now kids can live in that. And it's a big area. So they call it Heaven's Gate. It's called Rancho Bernardo, but it's all golf courses and stuff like that. So we're right next to there's a plethora of 55 and over living facilities over here. And that's somewhere I really need to start building those relationships with, for sure. And I had some of those relationships with when I was at the chamber, because a lot of those people would join the chamber. So yeah, that's something I want to focus on. And I wanted to get, like I said, feedback from you guys to where you're getting, what organizations you're building those relationships with.
Yeah, I think Liz and I both would agree that being community oriented is something that we truly value. And it doesn't matter where we're going. Like she said, everybody knows somebody that needs care.
Sure.
And what better way to be a member of the community than knowing your resources around you?
Yeah. So back to this. So when I started, we were talking about marketing. You guys really kill it on marketing. I mean, I'm a salesperson and I've dabbled in marketing a little bit, but I when I'd go to work for companies, I said, you guys aren't doing marketing. It's where you're cutting your budget, and it's really not a great place to cut your budget. If you think about Apple or Chevrolet or Ford or any of these big companies, they're always doing marketing, even though they're enormous. Apple markets and they're the first $1 trillion company in history, but they still do marketing. And then the sales is at building that relationship. So you guys really do a fantastic job with that. And I don't think you're overdoing it. I think it's nice that you're taking a lot of the photos you take and things like that are very uplifting. And it shows, it kind of shows a lot of love in the room and everybody's smiling. And you guys are really, you're really out there in the community, and it's pretty awesome to watch.
Thank you. I think kind of speaking to what you're speaking to as well, consistency is so important in marketing as well.
Yep.
So we really, really try to be consistent with the people we're building relationships with and check in and set recurring activities and things like that, because consistency is so vital in marketing.
Absolutely. And the best way to educate people is to get them to feel. And if you can get them to feel what you're trying to say, then they're going to remember that.
That's a great sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Jim tells us all the time, be creative, do something that you enjoy to do, and then it's not work, and he's really big about that. And it's, you can see it through the photos, and not just Liz and I, but our staff as well. When we're doing these things, we're truly enjoying ourselves. And when you're doing something that you're passionate about, it's so easy to do. And so it's like doing all the things at the same time, but you're putting out that educational piece with marketing, and you're just throwing it all into this big, wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's the famous line. People remember how you made them feel, not what you said. And so it really is almost a feelings business. And we do try to, we have such an incredible operations team as well. And we have them join us when we can. Like, for example, in my Champaign location, I was chatting with one of our schedulers one day, and he's like, yeah, I sing and play the guitar. And I'm like, what? That's incredible. So I've booked him, I call him booking him gigs at some of the assisted livings, and he can sing to the seniors, and to watch his face light up and their face light up. It's so rewarding. So utilizing the people and the tools that you already have is such a great way to do it as well.
We just
Yes.
where I grew up in this city, they just built a new senior center there, and you have you can go have lunch with the seniors. So I went and did that last Friday. I just went and I just sat at a table, and now I'm a senior too, by the way. So when they sat down, we were kind of talking about growing up and and millennials and this and that. And my kids are, I guess, millennials or Gen X. I don't know what they are. No, they're millennials. So, because my kids are probably your age. So, by the way, but
you're a young man, Ed.
Huh? Yeah, I have 20 grandchildren. So I have 8 kids and 20 grandchildren. So
what you're saying is you're busy.
Yes.
That's all I'm hearing.
I wish I was busier with the kids, but they're all, not all of them are in the state and this and that. But anyway, it was really cool to go hang out with the seniors, and I think they felt good, having a different conversation with somebody from, that isn't there all the time.
Yeah,
And
they enjoy that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it is what she was saying, she took somebody to go sing and do all these wonderful things. In our Springfield location, our client care manager does comedy on the side, actually. And so she went to the Home of the Blind, and she did a comedy show there. And It was the best thing ever. They
Oh,
were
that's
laughing
amazing. Yeah.
so hard, and it was so fun. And it's truly what we do is truly just about enriching the lives of everybody that we touch, whether that's our clients or just people out in the community.
Well, I'm very outgoing. So if I'm at a grocery store, I can get into a conversation with anybody. I mean, my wife's like, "Do you know that guy?" I said, "No," but we just started chatting, while we were looking at candy bars or whatever. But I really find and feel that seniors get left behind in society, right? They're not out as much usually. They're not getting talked to on a regular basis. Their kids are busy with kids. It's that old, cats in the cradle song. I have a much better relationship with my son now after he moved to Texas the last 5 years than I did before because he calls me a few times a week. And believe me, I miss that. I miss the house full of kids. Saturday, we're having a birthday party for one of my daughters, and there'll be like 10 grandkids here. And they're all little. I mean, from babies to like, well, to 17 years old. And I miss that. And I can feel that when I'm talking to seniors that they're not having that interaction they used to have, especially people that were in sales or in a, forward facing career. Now they're retired and they don't have that regular interaction with people. And I swear, I think that's why seniors get a bad rap for forgetting things because once, if you're not using it, you lose it.
Mhm.
So it's awesome that you guys do this things in these homes and, different, organizations that you can give back to the community. You guys are real, you know, this isn't like selling cars or something. It's not a hard sale. It's you're offering something you really want to just help the person out. And this person I found on Facebook, they ended up not getting back to me, but I just kept telling them, look, I don't care if you use one of our caregivers. I mean, I want you to, but I want you to do what's best for your family too. I want your father-in-law to be taken care of because I know what he's going through, right?
So one of my famous lines is always, "We're not here for a sale, but a solution." I've never said that I'm in sales because I don't want to sell anybody anything. I want to help you and I want to be a resource for you, whether that's for us or somebody else in the community, whoever that may be. Um, it's true. We're never trying to make a sale, but just be a solution for you. So open up and let me in. And how can I help you?
Yeah, some seniors will sometimes call us and say, "Hey, I need home health. Oh, I need hospice." And we're not like, "Oh, that sucks," and just hang up. No, we want to be a resource for all
Sure.
seniors. And so when they call us, we're like, unfortunately, we don't provide that, but we know it's some fantastic companies that do. Here are their numbers, addresses. You just tell me what we need, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, a lot of that happens, when they need a hospital bed or they need a lift chair or whatever it may be. And that's one of the things that's so important about being involved in your community is you have those contacts to
Yeah.
where you can be like, let me make a call real quick, and you're able to get it set up where you can make the connector piece. You might not have made that sale per se, but you made a difference. And the best thing that you can do is impact somebody's life in a positive way. And whether that's the synergy effect or just being a good human, they're going to remember that.
Well, and I do find that when I do talk to a competitor, it's not competitive, right?
Mhm.
There's so much education to get out there, and you're right. Education is super key because when I tell people what I do, they think we have nurses or whatever. It's something, and I have to explain to them, no, it's really not. It's not that hardcore yet. We're just here to help people get some tasks done. We'll do anything from mowing the lawn to washing your car if we have to. Whatever you need to help, get you by. So, so in this area that I'm in, boarded or assisted livings are from 10 to 12 to up to $25,000 a month. So we live near La Jolla. You've heard of La Jolla. That's where I'm going to put you up in the hotel when you guys come out to stay.
Can't wait.
Or Coronado. Out there, it's probably $25,000-$30,000 per month for assisted living. Now, obviously, everybody has that money that's living in that area, but I can see the financial problem coming for some of these families where we could provide a solution that's much less expensive, accomplishes the same thing, and keeps them at home at the same time. So I know when we did the assisted living for my stepdad, man, it was thank God he had insurance. He was a 20-year retired naval guy. There's no way I could have afforded it, and I don't have the skills to take care of him. So
I think also home care really is, it's clinically proven to reduce hospitalizations and doctor's visits as
I
well,
would
because
100% agree with
those
that. Yeah.
seniors are taking the medications when they're supposed to. They're doing the physical therapy actions that way. They're getting to those follow-up doctor's appointments. And so it saves money, it saves hospitalizations. There's so many benefits to it.
Yeah, fall prevention. We can look around and those little things that you wouldn't think of that, the rug that doesn't have the grips at the bottom, now it's a tripping hazard. Your coffee table is too close to your favorite chair. That's a
Right.
tripping hazard. So many things that you just don't think about. Or maybe those people that don't have loved ones in the area. Now you have a caregiver there. You at least have somebody coming to check in at, once a day or a couple times a week.
And I read some statistical information. Actually, it's stuff that I got through Synergy about men over 85 and their suicide rate and things like that because they need interaction. And I tell people all the time, look, we get called more for companionship than anything. We just need
Mhm.
someone to go in and listen to war stories or whatever. And that piece is so important. Like I said, when I'm out in the community, I don't have a problem talking to people, but a lot of these people do or cannot get out into the community, as easily as I can. So
Yeah, I think mental health is something that gets forgotten about with that generation as well. There's such a stigma to it for that generation. And currently in the United States, 7 million people have dementia, and about 40 to 50% of people with dementia have depression. And so
yeah,
you've got a lot going on in those brains. And if that's not supervised, if they're not getting interactions, if they're not getting the help they need, kind of like what you're saying, it can lead to really bad places and it can get dangerous.
well, and I can tell you as a man, and I don't know if it's the same for a woman, but we don't like getting help for things, right? I go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning about 4 or 5 times a week. I still lift weights. I still do all those things. And for somebody to tell me I can't do something, it's, just being honest, I'm like, no, I can still do that. I know someone wanted to cut my palm trees, and I said, no, I'll just buy a longer stick and cut my own palm trees. But I'm only 62. I'll be 63 this year. So I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years or 5 years from now or 2 weeks from now, really. So I definitely see the resistance from a man's point of view. And listen, my mom was a very capable woman, and she would have had the same resistance as me as a woman. So anyway, you guys are amazing. I really appreciate you coming on here. I know it's getting later in your day, and you probably want to get home to your kids and that. And I have to go get a kid. So I really appreciate you. You're doing a bang up job. You guys are so smart. Your marketing's on point, and I'm so happy you guys work for the number one franchise group in the U.S. You deserve it, right? You're doing a great job. Anything
Thank you.
else you want to leave me with?
No,
No,
just thank God for keeping on.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having us on.
I'll
It's
just keep
wonderful that
going.
you're trying to spread the awareness and the education about home care. It's
Yeah.
important.
So let me just do a little outro, and then stay on the line for a second. So thank you for listening, everybody. This is the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast. And when I say no limits, it's usually getting over limitations, but it's also mean that we can talk about anything. And that's a good example today that we're talking about something. So you can always get a hold of me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com. Hit me up if you have a guest, want to be a guest, have any questions, have a recommendation for a podcast. And I will talk to you all very soon because I got a really good podcast lined up that you're going to see very soon. Thank you very much.